Hi YouTube, Darth here. This is Against the Grain, a series where I bang my head into a desk while playing tactics and strategies I don't normally utilize in Battlefield 4. Today's challenge is using the Magnum, which I believe was suggested by one of my viewers. The Magnum is a difficult to use pistol with some definite perks. As I work against the grain today, I'll talk about my ideas and the ways in which I try to overcome this particular challenge. Let's look at what I've got to overcome today. It's the lowest DPS of all the secondary weapons. In fact, the DPS is so bad that the only weapons that are lower than it are the bolt-action sniper rifles. There's a significant reload at 4 seconds regardless of if it's empty or if only one round is missing. And then there's the problem with the trigger delay. If you're not familiar with the trigger delay, there's about a 150 millisecond delay after pressing the fire button before the weapon will actually fire. This can lead you to miss shots you wouldn't otherwise and is generally the biggest attraction of this gun. But there is one perk to this gun that helps to offset all those negative elements. If you can get a headshot anywhere up to and including 20 meters, you'll drop your target instantly. But since I'm not exactly the king of headshots, this should be an interesting challenge for me. For my first few rounds, I ran with the naked 44 Magnum. Though I've used this weapon a few times before, I came to some definite conclusions about it. First, if an enemy drew a weapon against me or got the first shot in or was suppressing me, there was pretty much no way I was going to win the fight. Second, if the target had full health and I didn't hit them in the head, it could take anywhere between 2 and 3 shots to put them down. At almost half a second for each shot, this meant that they had plenty of time to respond to any hit markers and then put me down with just about any weapon in the game. This frustrating pattern continued for quite some time. I'd find a target at close range, get a shot into them, and they'd either kill me before I could follow up or my own teammates would walk away with the kill. So the first thing I tried is to give myself a bit of safety by switching to the 3.4x scope. This would let me use the weapon in a longer range capacity. I also added a laser sight to try and improve the hip fire of this weapon a bit so I could simply squeeze off rounds at close range. This combination ended up helping somewhat, but I found that the 3.4x scope was making me a bit too careful with my shots. As I'd try to perform a follow-up shot or hit that headshot, invariably an enemy would notice me and end me. Also, the laser was doing me no favors really, as the primary disadvantage of this weapon continued to be the extremely low rate of fire. So I ended up taking the laser off and leaving the 3.4x scope. This gave me a bit more leeway to get those long-range shots without giving away my position. However, I was still finding it difficult to hit targets at long range, especially if they were moving because of the weapon's trigger delay and relatively low bullet velocity of only 460 meters per second. I was, however, getting a bit more comfortable with hip fire, so I figured I'd take this weapon along with me as a secondary on a mission. I've had luck with this weapon in the past as a good complementary weapon to a CQB weapon like the A91 and the MTAR, and I think if this is the way that you're intending to use it, it might be helpful. It certainly fires true and has a decent maximum range of 690 meters, so it's not an entirely bad pocket sniper rifle. But as a secondary, I still don't think I can recommend this weapon. Unless you're pro at hitting targets in the head at extreme close range, this weapon is just going to get you killed. Instead, I'd recommend the 93R, the G18, or P226. Or if you're on the CTE or soon-to-be Dragon's Teeth, I'd recommend using the Deagle 44. But if you're insistent on bringing this weapon along, I do have some advice for you. Go for the headshots outside of extreme close distance. If you're not using a 3.4x scope, you can attempt them in close range, but be prepared for certain doom when you miss. The hipfire is beefy enough at close range that 2 shots will put down a target. Don't try to get too fancy and go for a headshot, especially if your target is moving quickly. If you can, plant your feet and stop moving when taking shots from this weapon. You don't want to miss a shot with this weapon if you can avoid it. The moving hipfire penalty isn't that bad, but missing a shot dramatically increases the chances that you're going to die. That's it for this episode of Against the Grain. If you have a suggestion for the next Against the Grain, please mention in the comments below what you'd like to see me work my way through. If you liked what you saw, please give this video a like. If you'd like to see more Battlefield 4 videos, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, YouTube. Oh, get f***ed. Oh no!